you talked about the prairie chickens and how there are so few males actually mating out of this group of males. First question is that just seen in prairie chickens, or, and the second question is why? Maybe you touched on it, but why don't we see 12 of those males mating versus just 2? I know I see it leads to genetic bottleneck and things like that, so why?
So the answer to the first part of your question, this is actually a common feature of like systems. So if you did work with sage grouse or like maybe hummingbirds or like the Dominicans, you can see the same story. It's really strongly skewed male mating success. The second part, what makes those individual males an attractive one? It's one we've worked on. And we don't have a complete answer, but what I can tell you about it. So we've looked at components of the territory, so territory position, the central on the lek, the size of the territory. That didn't seem to have a strong effect. We've looked at components of the morphology, so when they're displaying, they have these pinnae on their neck, they flip those up, so it's a secondary sexual trait. They fan their tail, they stomp their feet. But there's actually very little variation among the males in those traits. So if you look at the coefficients of variation, it's actually less than 5%. So it's like you have the same cookie cutter, and took all of those. There isn't that much variation in those traits. So what the male mating success is really strongly correlated with is the behavior of the males. And it depends whether there's females present on the lek or not. So when females are absent and it's just the males, then it's basically the amount of time the males spend fighting and engaged in sort of those territorial interactions. That's a pretty good correlate of mating success. But when the females are on the lek, if they spend a lot of time fighting, then they don't have enough time for courtship. So the strongest effect there is how much time do they spend courting the females, the rate that they're doing their blooms, so the components of the courtship. The pieces we don't have a good handle on are the components of the vocalizations. So it's really tough to like do a recording of an individual male when they're in these groups, trying to isolate him from the other males. So looking at, so there might be something with the quality of the sound coming out of the sacs when they're doing these vocal calls. We can't really get at that. We did one experiment where we tried to look at the physiology as well. So we did testosterone implants. So it was like, well, can we manipulate the quality of the males? So that was a very tough experiment. So we had to do behavioral observations to figure out the male territories and their sort of status. And then we took males that were on the edge of the lek and either gave them a sham implant or a testosterone. And we had to do the reporting of the behavior and then also look at how it affected their mating success. So the testosterone implanted males spent more time in sort of progressive displays, and they had a slightly higher mating success. But it certainly did not raise them up to be equivalent to like the dominant male that was given in most of the populations. So it's sort of an incomplete explanation.
You talked about bottleneck, but are the same males successful every year?
If they survive, yes. But then on each of these leks, there's about a 50% turnover. So you're quite right. So a male that's unsuccessful for 1 year can recruit to that dominant position. But there's certainly males that, even if they're long-lived, they'll be poor quality males that don't mate for their entire life. So the very first male that we trapped when we started our work was like, well, let's give him a recognizable band color combination. So we had a silver and a red and two red bands. So we nicknamed him Scarlet. So Scarlet, as it turned out, was one of the most long-lived males in our study. I don't recall what age he was when we banded him, but he survived and was there for all 4 years. And we never saw him mate. And he always had this peripheral territory on the back of the leg. And there's one year I actually had my ornithology students out with me, so we were watching him. And so I explained the history. You see that guy in the back? That's a 4-year-old male. We banded him 4 years ago. We've never seen him mate. We watched him, and then a hen came in onto his territory. So it's like, go Scarlet. The blind girl watching, the hen's coming, and she sort of circles them, and he's displaying, and he's working it, he's getting there close, and then the neighboring male came out and challenged him. He went scuttling back to his territory. And then the blind, there's this, so all the students were rooting for Scarlett. I never saw Dave.
After hearing for several years and years, it seems like that the prairie chicken are affected by power lines, and then recently about topping trees reintroduces the population or helps the population regrow. Is there any truth in any of that?
So we've just completed the 6-year project looking at potential effects of wind power development, and really the only effect we see is a slight reduction of lack attendance. So if they put a turbine on a LEC site, the birds are displaced. But we don't see strong evidence for behavioral avoidance of the turbines. We don't see any effects on nest placement or nest survival. And we have this really counterintuitive result that at the site where the wind power development went in, the female survivorship actually increased after the turbines were constructed. It's challenging to try to figure out what's going on, but my suspicion is that the turbines might have displaced some of the predators. So there's good evidence in the literature that raptors are equated with turbines. And where the changes in survivorship seem to be is in the lecking period, when the birds are out on the flights, and that's when we get most of the raptor population. Elmer Fink at Fort Hayes is a student working on the effects of turbines on carnivores. So in his wind turbine site, the coyotes are avoiding that area, and actually they have the swift fox. That's where they find the swift fox. It's actually in the wind turbine area. And then the paired site without 10 turbines, they have more coyotes. So the emerging stories, the wind power development, at least on this one site, doesn't seem to have strong effects. The habitat restoration you're talking about, in Missouri, they've been putting a lot of work into trying to improve the remnant prairies, so clearing vegetation. They've done a lot of translocations of birds from Kansas, and the results have been kind of mixed. If you take radio marked birds and drop them off, and if they don't have conspecifics, then they often range really widely, so they'll pick up and fly 10, 20 kilometers. So they're kind of ranging all over in that landscape. And as they do those movements, they have really high mortality rates. I think they had pretty good nest survivorship for the first year or two doing those translocations, but I don't think those populations are viable. They put a lot of effort into it, but I don't think they was reestablished as prairie chickens in those areas.
I'm curious with the removal of the cowbirds, since you're just getting the males, are you getting such a high percentage of the males that's affecting the number of eggs that are viable?
No, probably not. I mean, what we're really targeting, of course, is the females. The conspecific attraction works just pretty well for males. So we removed them as opposed to the aviaries. So we used a lot of those carcasses for our analysis and looking at stabilizing those defenders. But even though there was a skewed sex ratio towards males, I mean, the removal was successful. We reduced the nest parasitism rates, not completely. So, and because we didn't do it completely, then that led to these behavioral interactions with the vireos that actually resulted in increased cowbird productivity. Certainly if the cowbird densities were any lower, you probably could put the parasitism rates down to zero. And that's what goes on in California with the management for lower flycatchers. I think we could spend the entire LTR budget on cowbird removal and just still have cowbirds.
This is a question about the movement of the population. If you have a LEC somehow destroyed or built upon, where do those birds go? And then if those birds on a certain LEC, if something happens to them, how does it get repopulated by other ones moving in? Kind of both ways.
So the LECs tend to be traditional sites that are reused from year to year. And it's interesting, so even with a 50% turnover, like half the males on the LEC are going to be new each year. Those sites can still persist for 10 years. So where the LEC site is, where the blind is right now for the prairie chickens, that site has been active for about 15 years. It was in the corner of the cow units. And then, I mean, it worked, when they had cattle in there, it was, I think they had a water tank in that corner, so it tended to get grubbed out. So with the short vegetation, that was kind of a good area. The last 2 to 3 years, there haven't been cattle that isn't resting those pastures. And then, of course, the vegetation has grown up, it's less suitable for a lek site. So the birds basically moved out onto the road. So where they're basically in the same area, they're within 100 meters of where the old lek site was. But they're basically using the short grass and the fire cars. That's what they use for the lek site. So they are flexible. They will reuse traditional sites. But then if that site changes because of change in management or wind turbines present, it will move, but then they'll often just try and find a similar site nearby. And in the Flint Hills, typically what it is like the domes of the hills, it's a little bit higher than the surrounding vegetation. It tends to be areas with short vegetation, so they can go and see predators approaching and also hens passing by. So sitting and watching the birds in the lek, you can often tell in the hens in the area because the behavior of the males changes. They become much more vigilant, they start popping, they do additional displays. And some of that's, there's a hen flying by at a half mile, and they're just trying to attract her and bring her in. But in terms of the recruitment, we don't have a really good understanding of those dynamics. And some of it might occur in the fall. So when the photo periods are about the same as what they are now in the fall, there's like a secondary period of lekking. So there's lekking in the fall, and some of the juvenile males are then sort of moving around and prospecting at different lek sites. And to be honest, we just haven't done much work during that period. So we haven't looked at movements of males to really address that. So that would be my suspicion.
About 10 years ago, there was a snake removal program out here, long, low fences to guide snakes into cages and so on. I don't know if that was related to the birds, but did anything ever come of that? If you remove more snakes, you have better nest.
So it wasn't, they weren't removing the snakes, but they were tagging the snakes, so they're live capturing them and releasing them.
Oh, really?
And that was basically looking at the herps in relation to some of the fire and grazing treatments. So those drift fences are a good way of trapping snakes, and I think we're also using powder boards, for some of the smaller herps like the brown snakes. That was Dustin Wilker's project looking at even more. And I we've got a couple states to beach food. And certainly Paige did some nice telemetry work with the yellow-bellied racers, trying to get a handle on what are the habitats the snakes are using. I think it's pretty clear that snakes are important predators for a lot of these grassy birds. Probably varies a little bit by species, but the racers are out of this kind of habitat. Black rat snakes stick more to the shrub cover, so they're probably more repellent than the male vireos. And they can certainly get up into the canopy of the shrubs, and sometimes doing nest searching. If you're crouching down to one way to find the nest is looking up and trying to see the nests against the light. You can see the snakes draped in the canopy of some kind of shrub island. But a lot of the birds are